Hello and welcome to Monday's programme. I'm John T. Messer.
And I'm Ellie Louise Ringe. Coming up tonight between now and 6:30.
Good evening. The first helicopter flight taking holidaymakers to the Isles of Scilly in 6 years took off this morning, but it's flown straight into a storm of controversy.
The service was suspended just 3 days ago by the local council on the Isles of Scilly, who said the operators hadn't complied with regulations protecting wildlife.
But then the operators, Island Helicopters, found a loophole to get the first two flights off the ground. Steve Hardy was on one of them and joins us live now on St Mary's on the Isles of Scilly. Steve, a lot happening here. Just explain the current situation for us. Next tonight, a motorist has been heavily criticised after driving into the path of runners taking part in a half marathon in Plymouth.
The woman ignored road closure signs and turned into the route of the Ocean City Half yesterday, despite efforts by onlookers to stop her. The scenes were recorded by a witness on a mobile phone.
A court has heard that a D-Day veteran in Taunton was left for dead after being attacked with a claw hammer by a man shouting for money.
96-year-old Jim Booth,
but has admitted charges of grievous bodily harm with intent and aggravated burglary. Well, our reporter Ben McGrail has been following the trial at Taunton Crown Court for us today. Ben, what has the prosecution been saying today?
And Ben, what was the court told about what...
And you're watching ITV News here in the West Country. Thanks very much for your company this evening. Still ahead on the programme before 6:30.
And forget royal wedding pictures. This is the picture we want to see. Certainly as we go through the summer months, high pressure happily in charge. And that means we've got good news ahead for the rest of the week. I'll have the forecast shortly.
And the ITV News continues with the national and international stories at 6:30 with more on the royal wedding. Here's Mary Nightingale with the details.
But next on our programme, despite all the advice to owners about leaving dogs in cars during the hot weather, warnings about the risks are still being ignored. The RSPCA had 720 calls across the West Country last year about animals trapped in hot cars.
Yeah. Now, with another warm weekend ahead, the RSPCA are reminding people of their very simple message that leaving dogs in hot vehicles can kill. Chris Kiddie reports.
Now, tomorrow we are going to be bringing you a story about the real-life heroes who work at Musgrove Park Hospital in Taunton, all part of the celebration marking 70 years of the NHS.
But tonight, many health service employees will be honoured in a special programme on ITV. The awards organised by ITV and The Mirror are also being held to mark the anniversary. Kevin Ashford reports.
Now, a crowdfunding campaign is well underway to try and save the famous Willow Man landmark that stands next to the M5 in Somerset.
Yes, the huge sculpture which stands close to Bridgewater faces demolition if £70,000 isn't raised to pay for its rebuild. Well, let's go live to it now and join our reporter David Woodland. David, do you think this campaign will succeed?
Let's move on to sport, because all roads lead to London as far as Exeter football and rugby fans are concerned. City are in the League Two playoff final at Wembley on Bank Holiday Monday. Before that, Exeter Chiefs will be at Twickenham on Saturday in the Premiership final.
The Chiefs will be looking to defend their title after an impressive win over Newcastle at the weekend. Jeff Welsh reports.
Well done to them. Right, it all happened on Saturday, of course, but thousands of you are still talking about that wedding. Millions tuned in on ITV to watch the live coverage, and there were plenty of street parties as well and garden parties to mark the royal occasion.
One big...
And behind that lens was Ben Birchall, who joined us in the studio. Ben.
As we can see, it's been in absolutely all the world.
Oh, it's mind-boggling.
Obviously it's your job, but when we go to press conferences and we see the likes of yourself, photographers, you're able to kind of say to people involved in those photos, can you just do it again? Can you just move to the side? You can't really do it with those two, can you? You've got to get it or you haven't.
No, it's a...
One photo, you had sort of 3 cameras on the go. We were just talking before we came in the studio, but you took about 1,500 photos across the day.
Yeah.
That's the one photo that everyone's talking about. That must be really pleasing to see it just going global.
Yeah.
They didn't waste any time, did they?
No.
They got straight down to the kiss as soon as they came out, really.
Very briefly, Ben, what's next for you? You're a photographer here in the southwest, so you're heading all over the place. Where are you going to be heading to next?
Well...
Yeah, great photo. The weather was pretty good for the wedding as well, wasn't it? Let's find out from Kate now, who's live at the Met.
Thanks very much, Kate. And before we go, let's take a look at the main headlines in the West Country this evening. The first...
And that brings us to the close of this evening's programme, so it's goodbye from all of us. I will be back to bring you the late news at the usual time of 10:30.
I'll now hand you to Mary Nightingale as the ITV News continues. But for now, enjoy the rest of your Monday evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.